develop a hypertension, you become very agitated, you start dancing, doing all kinds of things. See, these things can happen. That you may start dancing, jumping, shouting, doing all kinds of things, getting into licentiousness, permissiveness, because that's how you are let loose. You see, the control on your being of the wisdom is lost, and then you just get into it. You don't feel the pinch of the, you can call your conscience. The pinch of the conscience is no more. You just go arbitrary and you just shoot off. It can happen to people even without feeling this. Without feeling this, some people can get into that kind of mood. That's how they become alcoholic and they become all these things where they have no control. Now, Jane, would you speak something? Eventually, he was absolutely on deathbed because he got cirrhosis of liver and he was going to die. See, he had left Sahaja Yoga, he wanted to do it on his own and all that, and he just lost it. Poor thing, within 3 months he started showing results and he was so badly off, and brought him home. My husband had gone abroad. When he came back, he said, "What's this? You have got a dead person in the house. They are going to prosecute us. We are all going to be in jail. He's going to die." Next moment, the way he is, I just can't look at him. He was very angry. I said, "Now where can I send him? You see, after all, he's so sick. It would be very inhuman to send him anywhere out." He said, "All right, tomorrow you arrange something and send him away." But next day, you see, when my husband got up from his bed, he saw this gentleman walking about. He was so surprised and aghast. He came in, he said, "The fellow is out of his bed. I can't just believe my eyes." And then within 7 days, he was completely cured. But then Gus told me that, "Mother, some of us are so egoistical that we have to go to that limit to know you and to come to you. It's not possible for some people to give up their ego and to behave in this manner. So you better allow them to go to that position and then come back." I said, "For a mother it's difficult. She will try to tell them again and again that no, you try to get all right." So that's what he told me. But this is very true. You see, what I found with the Western people is they're really egoistical in the sense that they don't mind killing themselves. You see, the ego is so self-destroying that they know they're destroying themselves, but just to satisfy their ego, they'll go on, you see, destroying themselves. And they reach such a funny point that you just can't understand how they've been so foolish about it. Then he started respecting himself, and then he went to his mother. He said, "I feel tremendous love for my mother," whom he had left for years. He never bothered about her. Then he went down. Now he's in Australia looking after his mother, and he'll be coming back to London. I'm sure he's much better off. He writes very sweet letters. So this is what is the thing of Mr. Gus, who was the leader of all the hippies of London, and who was a very clever boy, and he was a physics professor. And so you can imagine what can happen to an egoistical person, how he can lose his complete wisdom. So, in Bharati Vidya Bhavan, there were about 300 people, out of which were at least 275 people were Indians. And they all were suffering from some disease or other. I got such a fright and I was so angry with all of them. I said, "None of you are healthy to come to me." Some were suffering from paralysis, some were suffering from gout, and all kinds of troubles they had. And in that lot, I found Cooley sitting in front of me, and he was absolutely cool, very, very cool, so much that he was like a frozen, you can say a frozen, what is a dough, you see, a frozen dough. And I felt him, I said, "No, this is too much." But because of his heart catching, you see, when your heart is caught up, you can feel that kind of coolness, because it depresses your heart more and you get that coolness. So I called him Cooley. And Cooley is one doctor whom you might have heard about him, who is in Houston, where they are operating small children. I had taken my grandchild there. So I met him. He looked very much like our Cooley, but he is a very tall fellow, a very kindly person. And when I saw him, I combined these two things together because he was so cool, and also his face so much like Dr. Cooley that I called him Cooley. And that's how. And then whenever he talked to me, he said, "You remember, Mother, I'm Cooley speaking." So his name became Cooley forever. Now come along. His name is Anthony. What's the surname? Panayoti. He is from Cyprus, you see, very near Greece, from where Alexander the Great came to us, and now comes Cooley the Great. But I must also also give the other side of the picture. The other side of the picture is that though you people have one problem which I call as the sin against the mother, also Indians are sin against the father, which they do not know. You see, in London, you cannot imagine somebody running away with your chappals from Caxton Hall. I mean, that nobody can even think of such nonsense, you see. But here, how many of you have lost your chappals in the program? And not only you, but even yesterday, poor Mr. Pradhan lost his new shoe because he wore it for a function like that. See, this kind of absurdity is only possible in this wretched India, where you get all this kind of nonsense. You see, that's the point where I really cannot understand that people are so much worried and upset about their belongings, about their things, and they want to grab anything that comes in their way. If they can do it without paying anything for it, they'll be very happy. So in this way, we are really committing sins against the Father, who has said that he's going to look after us the Kshema also. He looks after the Kshema. And while we do not believe into it, that he looks after, we get upset for little money spent here, we get upset for little things done there. I mean, we are really that way very, very funny people. Though Indians are very generous, no doubt, but they do not mind taking away things without the knowledge of the person who is around. You see, it's something so funny. Of course, everybody does not do it, but quite a lot of, but especially the people who are at the helm of affairs are absolute cheats sometimes and are so funny one can't understand why do they want to cheat. I mean, they have everything and they have got a lot of money, but they won't mind taking away some money from you, taking away some money from the other person. For no rhyme and reason, they will expect you to give them money and bribes and things like that. So this is something so surprising that in London we have taken a flat now, we have taken a house. We had taken a flat from an Indian, then we took a house in London. I didn't have to pay any black money or anything like that for taking this house, and it worked out very well. But here it is not possible unless and until you give them some black money and you do all kinds of nonsensical things. It's very, very difficult. Even in England, Indians try this trick with others. If you remember, our first flat fellow wanted us to give him some money and wanted this and that, and I had a big argument with him. So this kind of a nonsense, which I call as the sin against the Father, is all the time. Even if they get, you see, a broken chappal somewhere, they would carry it out. I mean, all this kind of a thing is not possible in London. People are very, very honest, and they don't take somebody's money like that, nor do they take away things. Here, if you have the kind of newspaper distribution you have there, people will take away the newspaper, they will take away even the container of the money, and also the cash box, and also the lamppost. You see, and they can use it for any purpose. Even, you see, I have seen people putting their bottles out, and everything, the way we have in London, the postal system, you see, they send anything to you from say thousands of rupees to any amount. Nobody takes it. It is kept outside your house. It is lying there. Nobody takes it. I mean, especially in Oxted, a place of so forlorn, and I should say absolutely a desolate place. And there also I've seen, if something arrived by parcel, it would be lying there for 2 days, 3 days. If you were out, nobody would touch it. I mean, that is not possible here at all. I mean, people would even take away the locks that you have. They'll take away the panels you have. I mean, they can take away anything they feel like. Can you imagine? In India, people can even take away a small little, what do you call this, a tap, you see, that is hanging out. From the bathrooms, they'll take away the taps. You allow them to go to wash in your wash basin, they may take away your wash basins, you see. Dustbins, they'll take away your dustbins, you see. They can take away anything. I mean, like they are possessed by some people who are thieves and thugs. I don't know what. Our gurus are just the same. They don't mind living on opium, that is other people's money, you see. They indulge in other people's money all the time. They have no shame about it. And when I say anything about it, people say, Mother, you are very hard on them. What should I say? Should I garland them and make an arti out of them, that what thugs you are, very nicely living on the people's money? I mean, I just can't understand. What should one say? I feel so ashamed of them and responsible also, the way they have really lynched all the Western seekers. And these are sadhus, and they have no business to do that. And with that, they have put only bhoots into them and have taken away all that. Even, you see, there are some people, one boy came to meet me, he didn't have a proper shoe on him, and he's the son of a lord. And he said, now my father has no place for me because I stole some antiques from his house, sold them to give it to this fellow who is having now a airstrip for himself. Is this the way to lynch people and take money from them and befool them? I mean, this is really shameful, absolutely shameful, and I'm really ashamed of it. So, though, I mean, we are in a way naive because we are not yet exposed to that kind of a sex-oriented society, but it will take no time if we do not stop it now with a complete force. It will take no time for us to get into that horrible, perverted thing, you see. And the other day somebody asked me, what do you say to permissiveness and to licentiousness? So I said, it means in our Indian language, we call it badmashi and badchalni, you see. This is the word we have got. I mean, we have no other sensible word for these things. They are called badchalni and badmashi. See, this is the word we have got. What am I to do? I mean, if these are the words, can you suggest some new words for permissiveness and licentiousness? These are all horrid things. And I mean, this is regarded as something very bad. So this one can be twisted also, and people can say that Mataji calls all the Westerners at badmash, you see. But this is, if you are licentious, in according to Indian languages, any language, in Marathi language, we call it gundgiri, you see. So this is the word we use. Now, we haven't got any word for a man like that to call him. You see, we do not enshrine people who are licentious here. Never. We never enshrine people who are permissive. But here, I don't know how you accept it, that it's a permissive society, so what? If it is a satanic society, so what? But satanic means you are satans. See, you have to say you are satans. I mean, even if you don't like my language, what other words can I use? You tell me. Is there any other word that can really describe them? It is simply a very dilapidated state of affairs, and one has to accept it. It's horrible. It's rotting the whole society there, and we have to warn our people with very strong words. Even if people think that these words are very, very strong, you should not mind telling them that this is a very wrong thing we are doing in that country, and one should never do it, and one should never accept, because this may come here also. It's so shocking. Today she was telling me something, Felicity, and Parveen was there, and she just couldn't understand anything. She was so shocked. She was perspiring. Zareen was there, and she was perspiring, and she couldn't understand. How could she stand all this nonsense? No girl in India would stand this kind of a nonsense. Any man tries to touch her, she will just slap him nicely and put him right. She knows what it means. But you see, you are so naive also about these things that you go on compromising on these fundamental things, and on certain things like putting on weight, you get so upset. You should be upset about losing your chastities much more than about losing your weights and things like that. It's nothing important. You see, the priorities are so funny that sometimes I just can't understand. The main thing is your chastity is the most important thing. It must be saved and should not be allowed to be challenged by anyone whatsoever. Women have given up lives. They have burnt themselves in this country for saving their chastity. That's the most important thing that they want to save. While there it's so sex-oriented that you have to, you see, you have got ideas also about your figures and things, so that the body should be so attractive. Like, it's more prostitution, I feel myself. The way all the time paying attention to your body, that you should be attractive to others. I mean, this is something absurd. And there is no beauty in such things. It is nothing but perversion of life, absolute perversion. You should try to remain in such a manner that you are dignified. And even the ideas are so much changed now. I think it's much more satanic than anything else, because see, if you see Mona Lisa, who is regarded as still the best painting, she was a plump lady, and nobody has any objection. They pay such a lot of money just to see her face. While suddenly the ideas have changed. I think a satanic force has worked out to weaken the women in this manner, you see, because a woman who practices these things becomes very weak physically, and then people can dominate them and can overtake them, you see. And that's why these funny ideas about reducing women and men and making them absolutely slaves of these horrible satanic gurus and things have started, I think. This is how they do it. Perhaps it's a very, very subtle way the satanic acts through putting these ideas. The other day only a friend of mine had come, and she was telling me about her sister-in-law who went into a drastic, reduction process suddenly. And I had met her about 10 years back when she started it, and I told her, what are you doing? You are looking so much older than your age. You are looking at least 10 years older already. Now this lady told me now she looks like your mother. I said, really? She She's so much younger to me in age. She said, she looks like your mother, because thin people look so much older. I have seen women of my age in England look at least double my age. I mean, they look like my mothers there. Because of this kind of thing, you see, the whole body shrivels up. And also a little resistance that is needed, or a little reserve that is needed is not there, and a balance in the body is not there. And it's a very wrong thing to treat your body so shabbily just to satisfy certain foolish ideas that are all around. You see, be kind to your body. Don't try to be very, very hard on this. It works on your heart. You might get a heart attack. You might get any kind of problems. And it's a very wrong thing. Don't develop yourself on the lines which are suggested in the West. I've seen women are so fidgety and so irritatingly boring with their figures. I don't know how people manage with them. That's why you are having divorces also. You are having divorces. The women who always who go to dieting are very irritating type. Actually, is a common thing. You know, Brutus has been described by Shakespeare as a thin man who was so irritatingly funny that people never liked him. He was always complaining type. So one must understand. You must have a little balance within yourself, and don't go all out for something that is so nonsensical. And always after Sahaja Yoga, you'll find you will have a body which will have a weight and a little, because water is accumulated, and you will have a personality with that. Otherwise, I have seen some ladies who reduce themselves too much, and when they went to England, one of them was a wife of a cabinet secretary, and she was taken as a secretary, and she was made to sit somewhere in the corner, you see. And the gentleman came in and he said, "Where's my wife?" He said, "Your wife never came in." He said, "No, but I think my wife was here." So he said, "No, she's never come." She said, "But she was to arrive here earlier." Then they said, "No, there's only one Indian lady who has come. She's sitting in the corner there." And they said, "We thought she was your secretary." See, a certain amount of dignity is needed. And also in India, see, all our gods and goddesses have been like that, because it gives you a dignity, a contour, and a personality which is required. Of course, it should not be a hindrance to you in any way, and should not be too much. But the amount of fighting and quarreling is going on among thin people is so saddening that one wants to run away. On the contrary, a person who laughs and who is relaxed, you see, he always puts on weight. What's the use of making a mess out of yourself that nobody can even stand? You will become like a thorn. So I would warn you that don't go in for these drastic things of reductions and all that. That's not sahaja. Of course, you should not put on weight much. That is different. But don't go in for drastic things. That is asahaja. And don't become like bamboos, because these bamboos have no impression on people, and people must see you flowering like beautiful lotuses, and they should be blooming with health, because you know the goddess is described as pushti, is well nourished. A person should look well nourished. If you stand up say in London when you walk, sometimes I feel that half of these women who have no weight might be lifted away by the breeze that is coming and maybe planted into something horrible. It must be happening to some women. And they are very irritated type, extremely irritable temperaments they have. And they are all the time complaining. We have some neighbors, and I happened to go to one of their meetings, and I got so bored with them, I came away. And they didn't know how to talk to each other, so they asked for drinks. I started drinking because there was no other way out, you see, from this kind of a irritated nature, the way they were complaining to each other. They got so tired of each other that they said, let's have some drinks. That's the only way they can exist there. So try to be very, very humorous and jolly and happy people. Enjoy yourself. That's the thing God has given you. And not try to become like bombil machis. See, that is one thing I must tell you is very important, because that is something will be very wrong and will be asahaja. Of course, you should not be extremely fat that you can't move out. You need not be. You will never be with Sahaja Yoga, because if you get more fat, it will be dissolved and things will be distant. Now, what is the criteria? What are we to know? What sort of a weight is needed? There's no criteria. We have to have different weights, we have to have different heights, we have to have different clothes, we have to be very, very different, and variety brings the beauty. If you have all of them put together in the same way, the same forms, with the same dresses going around, you get so bored looking at them, as if machine has created all these people, human beings. There's no sweetness about it. So don't try to play havoc with the nature. Never try that. Try to be attuned to the nature, attuned to it, because all such things create problems, and the first problem that is created is the liver. So be careful and don't go into such haphazard treatments. I would again request you, all of you, never to go in for any such drastic things, neither in medicines nor in exercising yourself. Because you know with exercises what happens to your heart. We have seen it now. And it's very difficult to rectify it. So be careful about it. And automatically you come down, you are normalized, and God knows how much weight you should have and all that. Now, those people who eat more may not put on weight. Those who eat less may put on weight. It's possible. It happens. So it depends on your temperaments, whatever is your requirements. And of course you must keep a watch. But still I would say that one should not try to do something of that kind. On the contrary, if somebody eats too much, that means something is wrong. If he eats too little, also it is something wrong. So you should eat about what you call a normal type of food and lead a normal life. Or one type of food also, one should not eat too much of one type of food. We should eat all kinds of food and try to understand your own nature, what sort of a nature you have. And tomorrow I am going to give you a little bit of Ayurveda, by which you will know what is your nature and what sort of food you have to have and how you have to be a normal person. May God bless you now. So let's have food.